Hey love, how you doing? I'm so sorry I haven't put a Sunday Soother together for 2 Sundays, and it's not that I haven't been thinking about it. It's just it's been such a strange time for everybody, I think, that it's been quite difficult to gather my thoughts together, to be able to articulate what might be happening, to express it, to talk about what might be helpful at this point. This year is very much a year of two very distinct halves. And I think there's been a lot of stripping away, a lot of tearing down in the first half of the year. And with humanity really evolving and shifting, it's like so many massive things are falling away, like the wider principles of how we work as a society, illusions and templates that are connected to that are beginning to break away. And I think people are starting to question, why do I need to live like this? Or why do I have this goal? Or why is it not easier? And where in some ways, the way that our society has been and our culture has been, it's led us to be very much living in isolation and following our little template lives. And it's sort of every man for himself, you know. And I think there's lots of ways that our shadows, the parts of our personalities that override some of our light, the parts that allow us to behave in certain ways that might not be helpful, have always been there to enable our paths and our behaviours and our responses. So, for example, there might be certain beliefs that we have in our heads that allow us to push through what the body is saying, allow us to burn ourselves out. Or there might be old fears that we have around how we should behave and respond that stop us from communicating well, that stop us from taking accountability. Those weak spots that we have are vulnerabilities, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're all part of our craft and part of what we're experiencing and learning through and working with. But it's as though all our old ways of being able to push through or override and take a particular direction, they're not available to us anymore. So try as we might, it doesn't happen. Either we can't fake it anymore, or we can't push through and find energy where there isn't energy, or we can't go down the same track of communicating in a particular way to avoid difficult conversations. It's as though those avenues are no longer open to us, which is creating a lot of challenges, but at the same time, a lot of opportunities. But it's unsettling, and it's difficult, and it's weird. And I think it's hard to come into the everyday moments when in some ways the whole landscape seems to be falling and crumbling away. And I feel as though everybody is starting to come back to their hearts, come back to this idea of seeking out community, putting our hands up and saying, this life isn't working, this way of doing things isn't working, I don't want to do this like this anymore, I'm not thriving. And bit by bit people are saying, I'm not thriving either, you know, this isn't working for me either. And there's a calling to find more peaceful, simple ways, but with a completely different edge to maybe how we did years and years and years ago. It's as though we've come so far, we've learned so much of what doesn't work, and now we're going back to our roots to bring back simplicity, but with new wisdom applied to that simplicity. So there is that need for connection and not competition, that need for being able to be in our moment and honouring what we have today, rather than always pinning everything on what we're planning for tomorrow. There's something about feeling brave enough to think outside the box and do things a little differently, and realizing that even the most micro of things that we might have seen as something we should aim for is just not going to work for us, or isn't right for us, or can be changed. Even to the extent I was talking to somebody the other day, and she's trying so hard to do these family dinners every night because one must sit around the table with one's family, and that's what wholesome, good families do. And it doesn't work for her at all. And her kids squabble and shout and they talk over each other, and it's really hard. And then everyone's really stressed and no one eats. And we were just saying, you know, maybe then that model doesn't work for you in this season of your family. You know, maybe actually two of you should eat in another room and swap over and just do it differently, or don't worry about what that looks like. Worry about how you can find other ways to connect with each member of your family and ways to mix different members of the family together in different ways that supports them and helps them and nourishes them, knowing that there'll be another season where they'll connect together in a different way, and maybe all of you can be all together and it will be easier. But making sure that you're concentrating on those little connections and those little moments, that they don't have to look a certain way, they don't have to be a certain way. It's kind of exciting to think that this is coming and it's breaking through. But as I say, it's also unsettling. It's almost like all the things that we might want or need to work on are kind of coming to the surface, exposed and raw and looking to be dealt with. And I'm certainly finding that some of my old bypassing ways just don't work anymore. So if, say, for example, I'm tired and I've done too much, I used to be able to just override that and get on and bring magic to a one-to-one session with someone or to an event that I'm holding, and I can't do it now. It's as though the route is no longer available, the road's been closed, and my brain's just having absolutely none of it. And it feels like an energetic shift, something that's happening to us all. You know, if you are refusing to completely see yourself where you're at and make those changes will be made for you. So for some people, really big things are changing in their life, and for others it's on the smaller level. And there's definitely things where we're being asked to surrender more, and that we might be push, I really want things to go this particular way. And then we have to respect the fact that sometimes we push, and it's just not the way it's supposed to go. Which brings me into that working out. Are we making decisions out of fear, or are we making decisions out of intuition? And the difference being that there's always a bit of agitation and charge when we're making decisions out of fear. And this might be, as I say, pushing towards a particular outcome, because the idea of not getting that outcome is making us stressed, as opposed to there's a feeling of, I just got this sense that it should go that way, which has a more expansive, neutral feel to it. Sometimes I think we make decisions based on old assumptions and old fears. I've been talking to lots of people over the last couple of weeks about decisions they're making for their health, and realizing that they had shut doors to certain modalities because they have never trusted them or never believed in them. And now they're starting to think, maybe I should challenge that because I'm not very well. I could be more well. I need something else. But I'm scared to go that way because I've had an opinion about it in the past. And it's I'm not sure if that's your body intuitively saying no to that course of action, or whether that's your mind saying this is something that we've not believed in before, or we've had reason to not trust. But maybe it's worth exploring, because maybe it's exactly what we need right now. So being willing to go outside the box a bit, being willing to challenge some of our beliefs, observing where maybe the old paths aren't working anymore. And I think just coming into our hearts whenever we can. So having those moments of any kind of connection, any kind of joy, any type of peace that you can have, because something that's really important at the moment is for us to be present and have that punctuation between the transitions of our day. So whenever you can, to help your energy catch up, help your brain catch up speed to your body, whether you're getting in the car or moving between tasks at work or home, when you can, take a moment, 3 long, slow breaths. Feel into your feet, just notice your body. Take a minute where you can to go and, have a second outside, or stroke your cat, or, whatever it is that just reminds you of why you're here, and the fact that your heart is always going to be a great compass. It's also a portal for your healing and for your intuition and for your growth. And something that came to me when I was a bit lost the other day, and just realizing I really need to come home to myself. I need to just close my eyes and meditate without an attachment to outcome, but just I need to be in nothingness. And what came was, sometimes before we can find ourselves, we have to let ourselves be lost. So yeah, I think that's poignant. Just not being scared when we feel lost, trying to view it with some curiosity, taking our time to take care of ourselves, and as I say, anything that brings you back into your heart for a minute, whilst also honouring anything that's not comfortable. And also remembering that there is this sense that life force, the point of us being alive, something moves through each of us and expresses itself uniquely in a form of what we contribute, what we can bring, what we offer, what our unique gifts or skill set might be. And that there is this overall feeling that we're coming to a space of wanting to just bring that now, getting out of our own way in order to allow ourselves to offer it in the first place and not get swamped by, oh, I don't know if I'm any good, I don't know if that's their value, and kind of moving away from that. But also on a bigger scale, moving away from us almost hoarding that talent or gift and keeping it for ourselves to just serve us or like our immediate family. This is more, what can I bring that is of great value to the whole collective? What can I bring that I want to offer to all, and that would join us all heart to heart? No doubt I will be adding more to this. It would be lovely actually to put together a little energy-led meditation or something, just to really ground and bring us home through the heart. So I think that's going to be on my agenda for the week. So I'll put that out as soon as it's done, and sending everybody so much love.